Welcome to Mesa Family History. In this lesson, we are going to be learning about merging a family. That is, what do you do when you have a duplicate spouse, parents, and children? So let's get started. We're going to start with ZBT Holrath. Over here on the right, we can see that she has a possible duplicate. Before we click on this, we're just going to scroll through her person page and just take a very quick look at her. She is born in 1899. She's married. She has two husbands, and her parents are here. I just like to kind of get a feel for what my person looks like before I work with them. So we're going to click on Possible Duplicate over here on the right-hand side. We'll click on Review Merge. Now we come into our first step. In here, we get to look at our person on the left and our surviving person on the right and decide if these truly are the same two people. We have the same name here. We have similar birth years. We can see that FamilySearch has given us a warning. These two people were born more than 3 years apart, so that's something that I would certainly want to take into consideration. Now, my surviving person on the right, I know that this is an accurate birth. From some birth records and from a find a grave. And so I feel really comfortable and confident with my birth date, but let's make sure it's the same person. I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to see that here we have a spouse of Edward Rao. And on the right-hand side, we have a spouse of August Carl Rao. We have the same children. And here on the right-hand side, we have another spouse and some more children that are not over here on the left-hand side, but we can see that we have the same parents. Now, unfortunately, with this new system, this information does not line up. So the parents aren't directly across from the parents and the spouses aren't necessarily directly across from each other. But at least the information is all here and we can really look at it and decide if this is the right person. If I needed to, I could click on any one of these individuals with this thumbnail and I could go into this card over here on the right-hand side and I could right-click into it, and I can open this in a new tab, and I could go do further research. But after looking at the relationships, I feel very comfortable and confident that this is the right person. So I'm going to go ahead and do this merge. Now, quickly, before I do the merge, I just want to show you up here, there is a switch. I could switch the position of the person that I want to survive versus the person that will be deleted. I'm not going to switch this, but I did want you to know that that is an option if you'd like to do that. So I'm going to click Yes, Continue. Now, as we look at this, FamilySearch in this second step lines everything up for us really quite well. Over here, we have the names that are the same, the sex, the birth. Now, on this birth, I can see that she was born in Perry, Missouri, and that's actually where her parents were married, so that's probably very accurate. So I'm going to write this down, and later I'll go back in and fill that information in. If I replace it over here, it changes my birth date, and I don't want to change the birth date. So I'm going to click Undo, and I'm going to maintain what I have here on the right-hand side, and I'll just go back in later and add Perry. My death information is a little more accurate over here, or a little more precise. We can see the events. Anywhere where we have something in green, it has been moved over automatically from the left to the right. So over here, this event has been moved over. The spouses and children, the system will automatically move all spouses and all children from the left-hand person to the right-hand person. And that is really exactly what we want done. We do not want to leave any spouses or any children on the left-hand side over here. And as we scroll down, we can see that it has automatically moved over the duplicate of Edward Rao and Marguerite Rao. We have them up here already, Edward Carl or August Carl Rao and Marguerite Rao. So we're going to end up with an additional duplicate, but we still want them over here on the right-hand side. If we leave them on the left-hand side, they will end up in what I like to call the never never land of FamilySearch.org with no relationships, and it will be hard to find that duplicate. So we always want to bring over all the relationships unless we know that they do not belong to this family. Down here, we can see the parents have been brought over, and very clearly you can see that we're going to have a duplicate set of parents. And we're going to resolve all of those, which means this merge is going to take quite a bit of time, but I want to walk through all the steps so you can see how to do that. We're going to scroll on down, and our source has also been moved over. Now I'm going to go ahead and click Continue. And on this last page, I can put my reason for the merge, and I'm going to put names and dates Actually, I'm going to put names and relationships match, because the dates did not all match. And now I'm going to finish my merge. And this has taken us into the surviving person. Down here on the bottom left-hand side, you can see it says merge successful. If I'd like to undo it right now, I could. Sometimes the program will take you into the deleted person and it will give you a link to come into the surviving person, but hopefully and usually it'll bring you into the surviving person. So now the fun begins. We're going to scroll down, and because we did that merge where we had a lot of duplicates, we're now going to see multiple duplicates. Here we have as her spouse, Edward August Carl, Rao, and George, and we have Edward again. And if we were to look at the children here, we'd have Margaret again. So we have her in two places. So we have a duplicate husband now and a duplicate daughter. Over on the right-hand side, we can see that we have Henry and Georgia. And if we scroll down, we have them again. And that all comes because what we actually had were duplicate families for ZBT Holrath, not just a duplicate person. And as we merged her person, those two families have come together. And now we have to resolve all those duplicates. And it's not hard to do, but it is kind of a long process. So this is what I like to do. I'm going to go ahead and stick with this Henry Holrath. This will be my main Holrath. I am going to click on him, and I am going to right click and open him in a new tab. He will be the first person we're going to resolve. I'm going to come down here to this second Henry Holrath, and I'm actually going to click on his ID number. So I'm just going to click that, and I'm going to copy the ID. Now, you'll notice up here in the right-hand side, up at the top, we have two tabs. I'm going to click on my Henry Holrath over here, and it shows that there's a possible duplicate. And I could click on that right here, or I can come down and I can merge by ID, which is the option I'm going to choose at this time. Now I'm going to paste in that number, and I'm going to continue. Now it will bring in Henry Holrath. And once again, I'm going to verify the information, and the names and the dates are matching. And of course the spouse matches and the children. And so everything is looking like, yes, this is exactly what we thought it was, the duplicate spouse or the duplicate father. I'm going to click yes, continue, and it lines everything up for me. I'm going to scroll through quickly. Everything looks good. And I'm going to click continue. Now I'm going to once again put names and dates match. If there was an unusual reason for the merge and it was difficult to see why you might have merged somebody, explain it in detail there. So now we're still on Henry Holrath's page. And I'm going to come back here to this tab, ZBT Holrath, because I want to show a quick thing very quickly. I'm going to hit refresh. And we're going to see that we have Henry and Georgia. And we still have Henry and Georgia. And now we still need to merge Georgia. So we can do it from this page, or use this as our beginning page, or we can go back to Henry Holrath. And I'm going to use this, and we're going to do it in exactly the same way that we did with Henry. I am going to click on Georgia. Now I'm going to come over here and I'm going to right click on Georgia, and I'm going to open her in a new tab. So we have Henry up here and we have Georgia. And I could go ahead and close Henry because I'm done with him. In fact, I think I'll do that. And now I want to come down and get the ID number for Georgia. So I'm going to click on her. This is the second Georgia. I've opened the first Georgia in a new tab, and I've clicked on the ID number of the second Georgia. I'm going to come up here to the tab, and I could click on possible duplicate right here if I'd like, or I can scroll down and I can merge by ID, which is what I'm going to choose to do. I'm going to paste in that ID number, and I'm going to click continue. So once again, we have George's information here. And since we know that this is the spouse of Henry Holrath, we can very quickly say, yes, this is correct. We're going to continue. FamilySearch has lined everything up. I'm going to verify that I have all the information to the right that I would like. And there is nothing new that I need to bring over. Right here, this is something perhaps I should explain. Because on the first merge, I said, bring over all of the spouses and children. You can see that the ID number here, L6K1M7X, is actually the same one as the one over here. So I don't have to bring this over because it's really just the same person. I actually like to, and I should have done that in Henry's, but I didn't. Same thing with ZB. It's lined up directly across from her. We have the same ID number. I'm going to go ahead and click replace just so that I have removed everybody from this left-hand side. This is not going to create extra duplicates because it's the same person. Now I'm going to go ahead and scroll down and I'm going to click continue. I'm going to write names and dates match again. It's my favorite entry. And I'm going to finish my merge. Now I'm going to go ahead and close Georgia Ryan, and I'm back here with ZBT Holrath, and I'm going to refresh up here in the top left-hand corner. And when I refresh, we can see that both parents are now gone. But I had to resolve both duplicates in order for the set of parents to go away. So now we need to do the same thing over here with Edward. We're going to start with Edward, and then we're going to work with Margaret. This is the Edward I want to keep because this is the one I entered. I'm going to click on Edward, and I'm going to right-click on him and open him in a new tab. So you see he's up here on the right. I'm going to scroll down to my second Edward, and I'm going to click on the ID number, and I'm going to copy that ID. I will come back up here to this tab on the right, and I will click on Edward. Now, I could use this possible duplicate, but I like the ID, so I'm going to come down and merge by ID, and I'm going to paste in that ID, and I'm going to click continue. And once again, we can see the information here. And I can look and say, yes, this is the right person. I know it's the right person. I will hit yes, continue. So now FamilySearch has lined everything up, and I'm going to just double check and see, is there anything on the left that needs to be brought over? And I can see here that it shows he was born in Missouri. So I definitely want to replace that by clicking replace. If I wanted to undo, I could click undo. I'm going to scroll down. And ZBT Holrath, it's got the same ID number. I do not need to bring it over, but to just get into the habit of bringing the spouses and the children and the relationships over, I'm going to do that. I'm going to hit replace so that nobody's left here on this side. And it looks as though it brought over Margaret Rao automatically. And you can see we still have this duplicate of Margaret Rao that we're going to have to resolve. And I'm going to click continue. I am once again going to put my favorite names and dates match, and I'm going to finish this merge. Now that I'm done with this merge, let me move that. I could undo, just as a reminder down here, where it will say merge successful, and I could undo it, which I'm not going to do. But I finished the merge, so I'm going to X out of here, and it has brought me back to my original page, but I need to refresh. You can see we have two spouses here still, Edward and Edward, but I need to refresh the page. And after having done that, we have only the second spouse here. Now, this is something to explain. So we have George Slauson and we have Edward Rao. Right down here was where Edward Rao existed the first time as just Edward Rao. But we have this child still here to resolve, Margaret Rao. So as a result, it leaves this add spouse and ZB. This is not going to be resolved until we merge our two Margarets. So this can really throw people when they look and they go, well, wait a minute, why do I have an add spouse here? I just tried to merge Edward, and you did merge Edward, but it maintained a space for this Margaret. So what we're going to do is we're going to come back up here. Actually, let me come down to Edward August Carl. I'm going to click on the children, and here is Margaret, because Margaret was part of this marriage, this relationship. I'm going to click on Margaret. I'm going to right-click on Margaret, and I'm going to open her in a new tab, and she's up here. But I need to go get the ID number of the other Margaret. So I'm going to come down here to this Margaret, and I'm going to click on the ID number, and I will copy that ID. Now I can come back up here to the top right, and now I'm in Margaret Rao, and there's a possible duplicate, and I could go this direction if I wanted, but I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to hit merge by ID, or click on it, I should say. I will paste that in and click continue. Once again, we have the same system that we had before, the same process. We have birth dates that are matching up, and the parents are matching up. We have ZB here and we have ZB down here. It doesn't allow me to move it over because over here it's a family relationship and over here it is not. So I've looked at everything. Actually, I guess I can't move it over to the next step. So ignore that last statement. Now we're going to look here and see if there's anything on the left that we want brought over here to the right. So we have a different spelling of her name here. I don't know if this is accurate or not. I might want to write this down. I'm not going to replace it because my understanding is that she was just Margaret. But it could have been this French spelling. So I will definitely write that down and look it up. Over here, we've got more information on the birth on the right. And it looks like the parents, this time it brought ZB over without us having to do anything. And we are going to click continue. And once again, my favorite, names and dates match. I will finish my merge. Now I'm going to go ahead down here. Again, we can see that the merge is successful. I could click undo if I wanted to, or I can go ahead and just X out of this because we've completed the merge. We're back with ZB, and you can see we still have this confusing situation where it says add spouse, because when we merged Edward, Edward came up here, but Margaret did not. She stayed with this relationship. But if we hit refresh, now that we've merged the two Margarets, if I come down here, I can see we have George Slauson as a spouse. We have Edward as a spouse. And we have Margaret Rao. Margaret Rao should have moved up. Let's see what we have going on here. Okay, so it should have moved up. It didn't. Well, I should say it should have just resolved the second family, and it didn't. But that's okay. We can go ahead and fix it. Sometimes it will, sometimes it won't. All we have to do, if we can see here, this Margaret Rao has the same ID number as this Margaret Rao. It is under this relationship, which is the relationship we want it under. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to delete this relationship because this Margaret Rao doesn't need to be with this added spouse in ZBT Holrath. She's already up here where she belongs. So I'm just going to click on this Edit Relationship button. And over here, we have her, it says Add Father. We have ZB as the mother. I'm going to click right across from Margaret Rao, Remove or Replace. And I want to remove the relationship because she's already in the correct relationship. I don't want her in both of them. So I'm going to click my X down here and I'm going to remove parents. And she is already in the correct relationship. This, let's see if I can spell this. This was caused by a merge. I should say this family connection was caused by a merge. Now I'm going to click remove. And when I do, she goes away. So now we have George Slauson, we have Edward August Carl Rao, and we have Margaret. So we only have one set of parents and only one of each of her spouses. So we've actually managed to merge this entire family. But I do want to point out one thing here. Edward August Carl Rao. We're now missing marriage events. And I would need to go in and add those marriage events, which she actually married him in 1917 before Margaret was born. I'm not going to do that right at the moment, but when I add in that marriage event, it will move it up. He will move into this first position up here. And that is what it takes to merge an entire family together. Good luck, and hopefully it will work well for you.